Namaste and hello from Dublin in Ireland. My name is Mc Greevy. I live and work in Dublin in Ireland, and I'm delighted and honoured to be asked to just briefly talk about my travels all around the world over the last 10 or 11 years, and just for the next 10 or 15 minutes just give you a little bit of an insight into what I have done, and to show how easy it is to do it, and to try and deal with all of the fears and trepidations, or some of the fears and trepidations, in the short while that we have. I live and work in Dublin in Ireland, and as you can see, it's on the most westerly part of Europe, and it's actually the nicest part of Europe. So regardless what people tell you, Ireland is the place to be. Ireland is the place to be, particularly in lockdown. We've had some fantastic weather here for the last couple of months, and it's a fantastic place to be. So I'm delighted to be home. I was due to be in Colombia around this time of the year. I have a motorcycle there, and I was due to bring that further on down, but like everybody, COVID has dictated where and when and what we're going to be doing, About 10 or 12 years ago, I decided to embark on this adventure motorcycle travel thing. And, my route to it is fairly typical. I'm married, I have kids, they're in their 20s now, thankfully. But when they were young, I always had a huge desire to travel and to see different parts of the world. And that was massively influenced by the great TV series Mondo Enduro. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I think it's on Netflix. And of course, Long Way Round, the Blessed Charlie and Ewan, and their travels around the world, albeit as a pair with a huge support team. I didn't have that, so it was a case of where when finances allowed and when circumstances allowed, I decided, right, this is for me. But of course, I didn't really have the money to go off and buy a fantastic, huge, big BMW or whatever. So the adventure bike does not have to be a big, huge BMW. It does not have to be a €10,000 bike or a $10,000 bike that you spend another $5,000 adventurizing. I picked for me what was I believed my ideal perfect adventure bike, and of course that adventure bike is the well-known adventure bike in adventure circles. It is the ex-Irish Police Kawasaki GT550. Ideal bike for me. It cost about €400, which is in and around the average industrial wage, the weekly wage here in Ireland. So I set about adventurizing it, and I put on ammo boxes. Well, a friend of mine put on ammo boxes and I gave him a hand, so I effectively put on the ammo boxes. And I then tried to get I was a little bit weak in confidence, would you believe it? And I started off with small trips around Ireland, and then a trip to Scotland, and extended it. I obviously come back every time, and you kind of deal with you're more dealing with yourself a lot of the time and your own fears. But when you get into it, for me, it is probably, at the moment, for me, it's not for everybody now, but for me, it's one of the best ways to travel. And it's, we're talking about cocooning now in these COVID days. When you travel with a group of guys, you're in a bit of a cocoon. When you travel with your friends, you're in a little bit of a cocoon. But when you travel on your own, you have to get outside your comfort zone. You have to get into company, and you have to talk to people. And that's what does it for me. My job in Ireland is a police officer, and I'm in the people business. So I really do enjoy talking to people, and I believe that everybody has something to say and some story to tell you. So that's really what does it for me, and that always has kind of motivated me more than scenery. While I enjoy a good volcano or a good waterfall or a good mountain vista, that's what I enjoy doing, is meeting people and listening to their experiences. And of course I enjoy the route to get there. But it's mainly for me, it's the people and the interaction with the people. So over the last, I suppose, 11 years, I've brought the bike all over Western Europe and into Eastern Europe. And what I would do, I would take my annual holidays, which can stretch up to maybe 6 weeks at times. And I would deposit the bike in a particular location, unknowns to myself at the time where that would be really at the end of the journey. And then I would fly back home and go back the following year and move it on further on down the road. And I've left the bike everywhere. I've been all over France and Spain, Bulgaria, Romania. I've left it in Romania a couple of times, Bulgaria as well. Also Armenia, down to Crete, down to the Greek islands there in Crete. I left it there once. And I ended up had a bad accident actually in Kazakhstan. I was due to give a talk. Would you believe, I still can't believe this, at a United Nations conference on tourism. I was asked to give a talk there in Almaty in Kazakhstan. Unfortunately, I had quite a bad accident. I wasn't personally injured. The bike is a little bit damaged. So the bike is still in Kazakhstan. Then my travels slightly changed. I got an invitation to go on a 4x4 trip from Kyrgyzstan over there, Kyrgyzstan down into Afghanistan with a good friend of mine and Gary O'Keefe. And we went down there on a 4x4 trip, and that was fantastic. And again, just off the scale experience in relation to meeting people and just the different way of life. And, you know, I always thank myself for being so lucky to be able to do this. When you travel to places in the world that are not developed countries as we would know them in Eastern Europe or in Western Europe, you really have to pinch yourself and say, am I actually doing this? You know, so when you have the health, and it doesn't cost a huge amount of money, it's not as big as you might think. It's really time is the issue. Obviously visas can be a big problem in some countries. But for me, I make the time and I try and save the few euros to pursue my passion. And that's what I like to do. Again, when you travel on your own, you deal with all kinds of issues about feeling lonely and missing your friends and your family at home, and you get a little bit of paranoia about what will happen if the bike breaks down, what will happen if I have bad interactions with police or customs. I have had all of those situations, and I deal with them. You know, I'm at a stage now where I actually kind of welcome sometimes these kind of encounters, and in a funny way, the occasional breakdown, it brings about a confidence that everything is solvable, and there is nowhere in the world that you will not meet good people. There are more good people out there, guys, as we all know, than bad people, and people are inclined to focus on the badness. Whereas I know there's good all over the place, and people all over the world are doing the same thing. Everybody is just looking to get keep a roof over their heads, get food for themselves and their family, look after their children, have a job, have good health, all of that kind of stuff. And of course, there are plenty of people who are on the margins of society who sometimes maybe try and take advantage, but I haven't met them. I have seen them, but I haven't met them. And I suppose my radar is kind of up for all of that kind of stuff. I like to stay predominantly in youth hostels or in homestays. I think the atmosphere is much nicer in locations like that. People are more predisposed to talking and interacting. Now, if people are not your thing, you know, there's no pressure on you to interact. But as I say, I love to hear people's stories from different countries, and you might only be staying in a hostel for one night or 2 nights, but the interaction with people can be very intense, and you can make lifelong friendships. And I'm still in contact through Facebook with people that I would have met 10 years ago in youth hostels all over the world. So for me, it's a special place. Now, occasionally, I do find myself in some very, very expensive hotels. You'll have to go onto my Facebook page to see how I actually do that. And I enjoy doing that kind of thing as well. And every now and again, if you're on a long trip, it is nice to kind of stay in a nice hotel and have nice sheets and have a nice shower and excuse me, and just to enjoy the ambience of it, if you can afford it. But there's ways around that, and they are legal, I think. There's another kind of issue that I find people have always asked me about is, how do you deal with police? You know, a lot of countries that I travel to, let's say in Eastern Europe or in Central America or in South America, police corruption is an unfortunate fact of life. And I haven't paid a bribe yet. I have no intention of paying a bribe. what I like to do is, before a cop opens his mouth, big smile on your face, handshake out, how you doing, how you keeping. It's very hard to be nasty to somebody who's being nice to you. And, you know, a few token compliments, and if it's only talking about the uniform, that's a fantastic police car. Oh my gosh, I wish we had those in our country. It's just to put the cop on the back foot, as opposed to when the interaction starts. It can be problematic to try and force the climb down then, you know, if you know what I mean. And that confidence comes around because, you know, cops need hugging too, you know. Cops need hugging as well. They're ordinary guys and women. And, you know, I've had fantastic fun where I've gone off for a few beers afterwards with different cops who have stopped me, and they brought me to campsites, and I've stayed in their homes and all of that kind of stuff. What else now do I want to tell you about? People will ask me sometimes, where do you leave the bike? How do you manage to know where to leave the bike? It's very simple. A lot of the times, sometimes I do know, I might have a contact. There was one time in Romania, a friend of mine here in Ireland, and he's a Romanian guy, and I just said to him, would you know of anywhere in Romania where I can leave my my motorcycle? He says, yes, you can leave in my family home. It's as simple as that. You know, you make the contacts. Great, there's great websites out there, Horizons Unlimited, ADV Rider, Big Biking Commune in India. You guys, I'm sure, have plenty of contacts, and I will be relying on those contacts when I get to India. And it's amazing. People are very benevolent. No more than if you were sitting in a cafe and a biker rocks up and engages with you, and he says to you, would you know anywhere maybe I can leave my bike for a year, 6 months, whatever it is? It might be a bit surprising, but you will say, well, certainly I'll see what I can do, you know. And I can guarantee you, if you have the confidence to do it, that person mightn't know, but he may know a person who knows a person who knows a person who has a shed, that kind of stuff. And yeah, okay, you're taking a bit of a chance, but by and large, people are fairly good, and I haven't had an issue with that yet. Like, my bike is currently in Pasto in Colombia, down there with a lovely man, Freddie, who I had never previously met, but another friend of mine had met him and just had said it to him in passing. He only had a cup of coffee with him at the border, and he said it to him. And my good friend Declan McAvoy, who was also on Big Biking Commune actually, he suggested I contact this guy, and Freddie has been fantastic, and he's looking after my bike. So, like, people are very, very good, and you have to kind of get out of the comfort zone. Yeah, you have to take a bit of a chance, but I think you'll be rewarded for it, and you'd be very, very unlucky if you met somebody that was going to take advantage of you. Over the last couple of years, what I've focused on really is I've actually brought that to another level. When I say I like to interact with people, what I do is I've actually started to put them on film, record them on my phone, just attach a microphone if they're keen to talk to me, and just simple people from a guy selling street food in Nicaragua to a kid working in a youth hostel with a good story, to, you know, just different guys and different people that, to me, are interesting. They might be interesting to you, and you might say, after looking at Ken, what did you find interesting? But no, these were, at the time I found them, and I still look back on them. They're interesting people to have shared some time with, and I'm very thankful that they allowed me into their little world, and to allowed me to get their stories. And I look forward to doing that. I'd love to take that to another level. I don't know if that's possible. So that's just a very brief thing. If you want to go on to my Facebook page, you'll find me, Ken Mc Greevy. I'm the beardy guy. I think there's only one or two of me on Facebook. So go on. The page will be open there for the next week or two if you want to get on and friend me. And you're more than welcome to tic-tac with me on Messenger. Ask me any questions you want in relation to travel and adventure travel and motorcycle travel and traveling on your own and all of that kind of stuff. And you know, on my bucket list, yes, there it is there, guys. I want to go to India. I want to go to India, and I'm looking forward to getting there. I've heard so much about it. I've been watching different blogs and guys doing different YouTube channels, and I like the culture, and I like the colour and the diversity, and of course the people. That's what it's all about, and I love the people. So hopefully I will get there soon. Hopefully I'll get there soon. I don't know when, but I hope I'll get there soon, and I really look forward to it. And I hope maybe through Big Biking Commune, you'll be able to look after me, you know, and bring me to places and bring me to faces that nobody else gets to see. And so, of course, in the COVID times, you know, like these bloody restrictions, as I say, I'm a cop in Ireland here, so unfortunately I'm part of that regime that has to try and enforce these things. A lot of them may seem nonsensical, but you know, they're there for our good. And in Ireland, we've done reasonably okay. We've done way beyond the expectations in relation to the prevention of deaths as a result of observing the restrictions. So I would encourage you to observe whatever restrictions are in place in your country, and they will be lifted in time, and we will all get back to some bit of normality. And maybe this is a reminder of just how fickle life can be, and that, you know, it's not till something is taken away that you realize how valuable it is. Like that right to travel is fantastic. So when the restrictions are lifted, get back on your bikes, guys and girls. Get back on your bikes and follow your dreams. Follow your dreams. And, you know, obviously everybody has their own restrictions, their domestic scenario, their finances, their job, their relationships and all that kind of things. But if travel is what you want to do, it's very, very easy to make it happen. All you need to do is to take that one step, take that 1 kilometer on your motorcycle. Just make it happen. But don't overthink it, because the famous saying in the adventure biking community is that you will develop ultimately paralysis from over-analysis. So I know I probably speak too fast and you have to slow down the subtitles, but if it's one thing I will leave you, is try not to develop paralysis from over-analysis. And you'll see there from some of the slides that I've shown, you don't need a big bike. You don't need an expensive bike. There's guys going around the world on Honda C90s. So don't fall into the marketing scam of having to have a big, huge 1200cc, 1300cc bike. You don't. I started off on a 550cc bike, and in actual fact, I'd probably be looking at going a bit lower again for the next trip. My current bike in South America is a very old Honda Africa Twin. Fantastic bike. It's a big heavy lump of a thing, but it's a lovely bike to ride on a little bit of trail and whatnot. So time is against me now. Unfortunately, I have to go. And it was a pleasure and an honor to be asked to give this little bit of an interview. And I look forward to seeing you all again. Namaste and Permalinge to all my friends in the big biking commune in India, and thank you again. I look forward to seeing you all soon.